the questions that you'll be addressing to everybody, and everybody will be given an opportunity to answer. If I can just remind you that it is essentially a question and answer session. The questions are coming from you, and the answers are coming from the 5 candidates. And so if we can start straight away with the first question that I understand is on the such as education.
Yeah.
And it's coming from Seb. And Seb, if you'd just like to tell us briefly who you are before you start.
Yeah, Seb, I go to Meeting College.
Thank you. I attend Meeting College. I'm 17 and I'm studying politics at the moment. The question on education is there have been some suggestions that it would be possible for a young person to be guaranteed a job following a successful apprenticeship. What are your thoughts on this? If you agree, do you think can there be a job guarantee following a college course?
Nim, do you want to start?
Yeah, I think it is possible to do. I mean, obviously it all ends up being down to finance. One thing that you may have heard for at least in the Greens is we've said not only having apprenticeships, but actually those apprenticeships should be affordable for you as the people taking them. So, for example, I was at Leicester University talk on politics a few days ago, and one of the students said that his brother has an apprenticeship, has to travel about 20 miles away for that apprenticeship, has to live there because it's too expensive to come backwards and forwards, and on an hourly basis they only get paid £2.50. Now obviously that's not a sustainable thing for anyone, so that's one of the reasons we're saying actually we should have the minimum wage for anyone who does an apprenticeship. Now an apprenticeship is a benefit not just for the person who's doing the apprenticeship, but for the companies who are having apprenticeships, people coming in. So there should be a recognition that it's a paid thing, and I think governments, businesses, we should all recognise that actually we need to have more apprenticeships, because let's face it, not every single person is academic, not every single person wants to do or be a doctor or a dentist or anything like that, and there are skills, for example, plumbers, electricians and those sort of vocational qualifications that you can effectively only really get through an apprenticeship. So there needs to be more. I think it is affordable. We just need to effectively reallocate money from things like bailing out banks and those sort of things into society and the people who actually need them.
Cool, thank you. Can I ask you a question first, or the group a question first? Can I have a show of hands, if you're willing to, who would like to have an apprenticeship, who's seeking to go to college, or who's seeking to go to university? Who would like an apprenticeship? Yeah? Going to college? Or university? I find that very interesting, because my answer to this directly is that young persons who do an apprenticeship, a successful apprenticeship in a good company, it would be the company's decision whether they would take on that young person. But the key word there is successful. And that's what I wanted to focus on for everybody, in whatever you do. Because I teach at a university and I know the aspirations of young people. I know also that at university it's a £9,000 fee every year, which is the loan that most people will take as a loan. And I personally think that if you can get a good apprenticeship at 16, 17 in a good company, perform well, that company should guarantee you that job. And then that puts you on the first rung. You rise, ambition, you rise again. And I think that's the important thing. It's almost as if I'm saying your responsibility to do well in the apprenticeship, which is successful, and then how else could the company not employ a successful apprentice?
So this is a great question in terms of Labour Party policy. Edmund and Ban recently announced we are not just only going to guarantee a job for every young person in an apprenticeship, we're going to make it a compulsory jobs guarantee. Everybody will be offered a job between 16 and 24, and that is a job that you will be able to go into, and we're guaranteeing that for every single young person. So it's not just for people in apprenticeships, it's not just for people that go to college, it's people people that have been out of work as well, and I find that the biggest pledge that we can have for young people, it will give us all a first run, myself included, into the workplace. And the problem I have at the minute with apprenticeships is they don't pay the minimum wage, and I think that's disgusting. I think it's disgusting that we would have to go to work and get paid £2 to do the same job that someone else is, and just because they're older, they get more. During this government's time, apprenticeships have been up, but the level of apprenticeships has fallen. They are no longer giving proper training, and a quarter of people in apprenticeships are getting paid below the minimum wage. Labour would stop this and introduce the minimum wage for all apprentices. And we also want as many people in apprenticeships as going to university. In 2010, Ed Miliband announced at conference that he wanted to see as many young people in his apprenticeships as went to university, and that's a pledge I think we should all be proud of. We're acknowledging the fact that we have a diverse set of young people and they don't all want to do the same thing. And introducing the technical baccalaureate, which is what we would like to do if we got into power, along with votes at 16, will enable young people really to get a grasp of their future and start out on their work path the right way, earning the minimum wage, earning enough to live, and having a decent and proper start in life in the jobs market.
Thanks very much. Well, I mean, Seb, thanks for the question. I mean, there's been a massive increase in apprenticeships under this government. I think there's been 2 million since 2010. And it's something that the Liberal Democrats have certainly championed in government during that time. But they need to be worthwhile apprenticeships, and there need to be worthwhile jobs at the end of it. I mean, I think it'd be fantastic if there could be a jobs guarantee. I mean, I guess what I would rhetorically ask my Labour friend here is, it's all right guaranteeing jobs, and that sounds like a shiny, lovely policy that I'm sure lots of young people would welcome. But what jobs will they be? You know, will they be high-quality jobs? Will they be skilled jobs? Or will they just be jobs? And that would be the question that I'd ask my Labour colleague.
Yeah, sure. So we've promised everybody a job, and that job is compulsory. You have to take it, and if you don't take it, you won't be allowed to have benefits. This is a basic way for us to reboot the economy. We believe that the economy should be based on people in jobs, employment, working, spending money, and not on what the Tories have made us do, on zero-hour contracts, low-paid work, and the sham that is the Tories' work scheme. And I don't know if anyone has known the story, which is about the woman that worked at Poundland. She was fired from Poundland, and then through this work scheme, she got placed in Poundland and then had to work for free. And to answer your question about what sort of jobs they would be, we've promised that these jobs will be skilled, they will be important jobs, they will be jobs that have gone from training or before training, there will be jobs appropriate to the young person. And it's a pledge we're really proud of, and it's one of our flagship pledges going into the next general election. Dutch.
I think numerous things. I'm not an expert on sort of the education policy. What I'd say for a lot of people is just do your own research. If you can get I think anyone doing an apprentice should get a guaranteed job at the end of it. It should be part of the contract. The reality is though, when you look at some of the apprenticeships that are being dished out, you know, when I was a kid and started out in retail, you just worked and got the minimum wage. And what they're doing with these apprenticeships is you know, the politicians in Westminster are basically keeping the unemployment figures down by getting kids to apprenticeships and paying them sort of under the minimum wage. That's one aspect of it. I think when you... Also, the other issue is that if you force companies to give you jobs at the end of it, if it's not built into your contract at the start, it's unenforceable. And for it to be a job worth having, then it's got to make it pay in the marketplace. And these sort of blanket guarantees from governments, I'd always be wary of them, because you'll possibly end up with a retail apprenticeship with Tesco, and then 2 years with Tesco. Now, I'm not being rude, you're not learning a great deal. I've stacked shelves for a living, and you don't need 4 years to learn that. And so that's what I'd say, is if you can get a chance to get a decent apprenticeship, you know, with a skill that you can take them into later life, then, you know, good on you.
Thank you very much. Anybody use the Twitter feed yet? Can I encourage you to do so that the people out there in all the other cities that are linked in know that we are alive and kicking and have started working?